Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So I'm Jamal Ashraf and today I'm going to give a session on Codeigniter file structure. That is, we'll be understanding Codeigniter architecture. Okay, so let's start by opening the Codeigniter official website, which is codeigniter.com. After opening this URL, you'll find a link saying download. Okay, and you'll find that the latest version of Codeigniter is 3.1.5. So you need to click on this download link and it will start downloading the latest version of Codeigniter. Okay, I've already downloaded it so that we can save time. So you need to download it and extract it in your WAMP www folder, okay, directory. It might be that you might be using XAMPP, so you need to extract it within your htdocs directory. Okay, you might be using MAMP. Okay, so whatever you are using, you can extract it. Okay, and like here in our case we are using WAMP, so I have extracted it within www directory. Okay, and you can see it's the latest version, Codeigniter 3.1.5. Now let's start understanding the file structure of Codeigniter. If you check the folders which reside directly inside this Codeigniter directory, they are application, system, user guide, and there are some other files. Okay, so we'll start with the application directory. And this is the directory, this application directory is the directory where we actually code our own programs. Okay, we write our own logic, we write our HTML things within this application directory. Then we have system directory. You don't have to touch it because this is in this directory the core files of Codeigniter reside. If you just click on it and open it, you'll find core. Okay, there are different classes which are core classes. Okay, so you don't need to touch it. You don't need to touch system directory at all. Okay, then we have the third directory saying user underscore guide. So this is basically the documentation of Codeigniter, which you can also check online here by clicking on this documentation link. You'll be able to find the documentation of Codeigniter. Okay, start reading the user guide. So the same information, that is documentation, is available inside user guide. You can check it from here or you can check it from through online. Okay, now we have index.php, we have composer also, which is like available in the latest version of Codeigniter since the Codeigniter 3 evolved. Okay, but a composer is not required. It is not required always. Okay, now as I said before that we are going to code inside the application directory. Okay, whatever code is there, whatever program or logic we are writing inside application directory. So let's start understanding it. Here inside application directory we find different directories. So if you start reading by name, you'll understand that it is self-understood. Okay, that what different directories are actually doing. For example, the first one is the cache directory, which stores any cache data. The second one is the config directory, which you can just guess that inside config directory some configuration might be there, configuration settings might be there. Okay, if you open this config directory, you'll find files like autoload, config, constants, database. Okay, all these files are important, and we are going to make changes in these files, in all these files, whether it's autoload, config, constant, database. Okay, routes. So let me try to run this Codeigniter directory. Okay, in the browser, localhost So you can see that after installing a fresh version of Codeigniter, we see this in the browser, okay, and after running it through the URL, we see this in the browser. So how is this being rendered is a different thing. We'll just try to understand from the beginning, okay. So we'll try to understand from the config things. So in this video I'll be explaining you about the config directory and the different files that reside inside config directory, because if I will be describing everything in a single video, it will just go lengthy. So let me try to explain all about the configuration files which resides inside the config directory. So let's start with routes, okay. Open it in an editor. I'm using brackets because it is a lightweight editor. You can use any other programming editor like Sublime Text or maybe anything, Notepad++, okay. So I'll open it. We are opening routes.php in an editor. Okay, so by the term routes, you might guess that this file is basically responsible for any routing operation, okay. So if you scroll down in this file, you'll find there is an array called $route, and this array has a key saying default controller. So what it is doing, that when we are opening this URL, localhost is the name of our host and Codeigniter 3.1.5, that is the name of our directory. So when we are trying to run this directory using our localhost, it is actually calling routes.php at first, okay. So when it goes to routes.php, the first code that it finds, it says default controller. Here it is saying that the default controller, or you can understand controller as class, default class that is going to load is welcome, which is welcome.php, okay. So there is a default class called welcome class which is being called as soon as we are loading our Codeigniter directory. We are calling Codeigniter directory. The first class that is called is welcome class, okay, and this welcome class is actually the default controller that has been called. So as I said before, that this Codeigniter is MVC based framework. So where we'll find this welcome class? Inside the controller, because it says it's a default controller. So we'll go here. Inside application, you'll find controllers, you'll find models, and you'll find views, okay. So it's calling the default controller welcome.php. So you understand that how it's working. The starting point is this URL. This URL is basically the base URL. It's called as the base URL. It's calling the default controller. The name of the controller is welcome, okay, and this controller is being called from inside application controllers directory. The controller name is welcome with the first letter in the uppercase, okay. So you open it and you'll find that a class welcome is defined here, okay, which is extending from the core CI controller class, okay. And here an index function is defined, okay. You can see that this function is public and this function is defined, okay. So what is happening now, you need to understand. We'll move to routes. In the routes, the default controller that is being called is welcome, that is welcome class. Now this welcome class is being called from here, and this welcome class is actually loading index function as default function. You need to understand that in Codeigniter, when we call a class, and if this class has an index function, then this index function will get called automatically. So welcome class is automatically calling index function, and inside this index function we are trying to load a view file. That is, we are trying to call, we are calling a view file named welcome_message. Okay, so this line says that load a file, view file with name welcome_message. Okay, and this view file can be found inside view controller. So go here, inside application we saw controllers folder, then we'll see views folder, and inside views folder we find this file. Okay, so here what we found, that when this index function is being called by default, okay, so this function is actually loading welcome_message.php file, which is a view file which resides inside the views folder. Okay, so inside views folder we see welcome_message.php. so open it and scroll it down. You see welcome to Codeigniter, and this is the message that we are actually seeing when we are opening localhost in Codeigniter directly. We are actually opening the Codeigniter directory using localhost. Okay, so you at this point in time you might have got a little clue about how our view file, this is actually the view file that is rendering this whole thing. Okay, and how this view file is being called. Okay, you have an idea about this now. Got it? So how we moved, I'm just giving a short summary. Okay, so just check it, and we'll move to the next video. In next session we'll be discussing further, okay, so that the video doesn't go very lengthy. So at first we are opening this URL, which is the Codeigniter directory that we just opened. We are opening it using localhost. Okay, and I am using WAMP here in order to run my PHP things, okay, my PHP projects. So after when this URL is hit, it is actually calling routes.php, which is the first point of call, routes.php. So, and in this routes.php it is calling a default controller. Okay, a default controller, or you can say a default class is being called. The name of the class is welcome class. So, and where we will find this welcome class? Inside the welcome.php file, where the class name and the controller name, that is file name, will be the same. Okay, so here we'll go to, you see that this is a controller, so we'll go to app controller directory. We'll open controller directory and we'll find this welcome file, welcome.php file. We open this welcome.php and we find class welcome. Okay, and now after that, what I said, that as soon as a class is called, if this class has an index function, this index function will be called automatically. Okay, it will be called by default. So when this function is being called by default, what this function will do, it will load a view file with name welcome_message, okay, .php. So just cross check it, go to application, views, and you will find this file. Open it, welcome_message.php, and you will find this view file that is actually responsible for rendering the view in the browser. Okay, so this is just a basic thing, basic introduction about Codeigniter. It has a lot of things to cover, and we have a lot of other things to cover in our other session. Okay, so stay tuned, and let's talk in the next session. Thank you.